Hey, what's up, guys? It is Rapmark here. So, doing my first in a long line of backlog, pretty much where I stopped. So, Shazam Fury of the Gods. That's what we're going to talk about here. It has been out of the theaters for a while. Box office bomb, whatever. I had to watch it again to make sure I could get stuff like this. But you know what? Decided just why not? We're gonna do as much backlog as we can, shows, movies, and this is where we're going. So Shazam, Fury of the Gods. So man, I'm debating whether or not I want to do two things to this, but we're just gonna go on what we've got. So this movie was a mess. This movie was a complete and total mess. Its writing was awful. Its plot was nonsensical. The performances were just, yeah. It CGI. There was a couple of good things of CGI, but for the most part, especially that third act, it's just all over the place and not good. It was it was a little cringy in a lot of ways. And honestly, I'll tell you right now, uh, the problem is it's the same thing with the first one, where you have, I mean, Shazam's the main character of the film, but the problem is then you have three bad main characters, sort of. Weird. I'll get to that in spoilers, but well, anyway, and then you have, um, how many? Let's see, we have. Man, I don't need five, six. So yeah, and then the parent characters, and then a number of side characters that come in. It's it's just so messy, and you get no character development for these people. Like, again, with most of the family, like two or three sort of descriptive things about each of them, and that's it. Like, who cares? Who really cares? You don't know anything about these people. You don't care because you don't know them. Um, and then Zachary Levi is Shazam. I mean, I think they did a better job on him in this movie than they did in the first one, and I'll explain to you this why. So in the first one, um, so Billy, he he is emo. He is complete emo, just sad. But then he turns into Shazam, and it's just this like funny, happy-go-lucky guy. And the problem is it felt so separate. Like it actually felt like two different people being played by two different actors, which it is two different actors, but it's supposed to be the same person, so it didn't make sense, and it just set off with me. This one, there seemed to be a much better blend of the personalities. So, again, you kind of get that even though it's two different actors, he is playing the same person. So, I will say, I do think that was a little bit better. Uh, well, a lot better than in the first one. But man, like the bad guys were just, I didn't feel any sort of chemistry between them. Uh I mean, again, the writing was awful. Uh and I mean, there's just some super like cringe stuff that's meant to be funny. Uh that is not, like, this is, I guess, supposed to be a kid young adult movie, But man, there's a lot of people that die in this movie. I mean, you literally see like one of the nicer characters in the first movie like just get really murdered by like falling to his death after being told kill yourself. It's and then at the end, just dozens of people are just killed on screen. I mean, you have like the director gets killed at some point in the park. You have, but yeah, it's a chaotic mess. I will say this though, some of the humor did actually sit well with me. I'm trying to think of specific examples for that. I do want to point out another thing that felt really lacking in this movie. It was the action. There was not a lot of good action scenes. I mean, you have like the bridge scene, which it just felt like them doing a bunch of chores. Um, and I mean, there's like Freddy. So Billy is the main character. He's the one that's Shazam. But Freddy, like his best friend, I'm not gonna lie, it felt like he carried this movie on his back. This felt more like Freddy's film than Billy's, to be honest. And that's really unfortunate because as good of as a performance as he put, and as good as performance as you know Billy put out, we're here to see Shazam, Billy and Shazam, and Freddie sort of taking the role out of his thunder was just really like I didn't know that because they also added something which I do not agree with. It just felt so forced. It felt kind of creepy in a way, to be honest. But we'll get to that in a way. Um, Something that you think like a big plot point, and I'll get into more in spoilers. But essentially, there's this golden apple. You think it's going to be a big plot point? No, it turns into a MacGuffin. It's like why everything's broken, and then so there was supposed to be a lot, some cameos, and a after credit scene with Superman, but obviously because this is after it was announced that the current DCEU is dead and gone, man, he got freaking completely sanitized out of this movie. Like you don't hear mention of him, you don't hear his name. He's not talked about. It's like, ooh, yeah, that whole thing just sounded insanely like a messy divorce of like parting ways. But Zachary Levi, and I'll get to it more in spoilers, yeah, will be part of this new DCEU, which I don't know. I'll give it the benefit of the doubt, but we'll see. I mean, Flash obviously is going to do the whole time travel, um, reset that's going to start the new DCEU, so we'll see how that goes. But yeah, I'm like this movie coming out when it did after that announcement, it felt so irrelevant. And regardless of how like honestly, I think they could have had just one villain. It's like if it had just been Helen Mirren's character, that would have been felt so much more cohesive, um, and it probably would have gained a couple, one or two more points at least from me, from where we're at. Uh, so yeah, I mean, what else can be said about this? I think that may be it for just for the regular review section of it. We'll come back in a few minutes with some spoilers, but let's go to the final verdict. What am I giving this? I'm gonna give this a 5, and I know I gave Black Adam a 6. That was a mistake. That was a big mistake. One thing I will say for Black Adam is, as horrible as the acting and the story was, the action was actually really good. And it made me just like, oh, that's neat. That is cool. This movie had none of that. A bunch of CGI and some massive overacting and like wouldn't act and just, yeah. So this I'm giving a 5, and I should have given Black Adam a 5, to be honest. Possibly, I could even see people giving it a 4, but no, yeah, this is getting a 5. This is, and that's again, it's not terrible. There are funny bits to it. There were things that I found actually, kind of funny, mostly dealing with like odd things, like a powerful god eating, a corn dog with Shazam in a park. It's, Shazam sending a letter asking to call off this war. It's like there are some funny, like weird things about that. But yeah, ultimately there's just so much stupid and bad writing, and oh my god, this, and I'll get to it in spoilers, but this just felt like a giant fucking Skittles like ad. It was bad, it was cringy, and I was just like, why would you do this? So anyway, that is it. So 5 out of 10. That is it for the review section of this. So I'll be back with spoilers. I'm probably not going to do too long a one. I'm probably just going to cover some of the main like weird things, but yeah. Anyway, I'll see you guys then. See ya. Hey guys, it is Rapmark here. So, doing the spoiler sort of thing in this. So, this movie takes place about 4 years after the first one, and essentially you have these gods, Hespera and Calypso, who are daughters of the Titan Atlas. Um, and man, a lot of people die in that first thing when they showed up in the museum. But there's a third one. Like, so, okay, so here's what I'm going to get into. So this is not going to be a very straightforward, like, breakdown of the movie. I just need to talk about a few things. uh, the love interest. Freddy's love interest. It's so ridiculous. It's so just, it seems so shoehorned in. So it's the third sister, Anthea, and she's 6,000 years old, and the only reason she even meets him is because he's the only one that, has, that has seen like the super people, super family. And yeah, they just immediately fall in love. And like, she's the new girl, and then there's the bully scene, and then she says something that makes him laugh, or he says something that makes her laugh, and they start liking each other, and it's just, oh, it's just so cringe. It did not make me feel like it at all. And also, like, so all of the siblings, like, Billy is trying to keep everyone together, but everyone kind of has their resentments. They want to do their own thing. I mean, Mary wants to hang out with kids her own age. She wants to go to college. it's like you're a superhero. The normal life is not good. Is not gonna happen for you. Anyway, beyond that, but yeah, like she complains about it a bit, and then that's it. Like it's never mentioned again. It's and there are so many plot points that do that, and it's just like, why? Why are you going to cut plot points that should be a big deal? And again, this is the problem with this movie: is you have nine main characters, and there's just so much going on that you can't focus on any of them, not for a sec. So you end up not giving a shit about any of them. It's that's just the way it is. Like it's just hashed up and torn to piece. Like it's so bloated. There's no need to have all of these people in here. And again, the family. It's just like I get it with like Shazam's family. It's fine, but it just seems a bit much, and they need to flesh them out. Otherwise, why do we care about these people? And then the gods, like that family, is just like I felt again no chemistry between any of them. It just felt so hacked up. So here's another thing that really bothered me. So they were trapped in a dying world. And they need a golden apple, which is in Shazam's library somewhere, which can either be planted in their world and regrow it, because their world's dying. It's whatever. They're apparently the last three gods in the DCEU, which is just like that's not how that works. There's a shit ton of gods in the DC universe, but yeah, they're all gone. They're all dead. It's whatever. It's dumb. So anyway, when Billy breaks the staff, they are let free, and why they need the staff, I don't like, except for it acts as an instrument to take the power. Like if this staff, if you get touched by it once, you lose your powers, and eventually they all end up losing their powers. And my thought is like, this is a great way of sort of culling her, like they can do their own lives, and it can just be Zachary Levi, whatever. But no, they do eventually get it back, all of them, and it's stupid. Like, what's the point? Are they even gonna be in any of this? Because Zachary Levi is Gunn's, like one of Gunn's best friends. He doesn't. I'm not sure what his I'm sure it's nowhere near as close as Zachary Levi's is to any of these other people. So who knows whether or not any of these are going to make it into the new James Gunn EU universe. So, yeah, it was dumb. But yeah, anyway, so back to the apple. Yeah, so they can plant it in there and regrow it, or they can plant it on Earth and just screw everyone. And that's what which freaking one is which? Anyway, I only remember which one Anthea is. I can't. Is Hesper the older one? Oh my gosh. Okay, so we're gonna go dive in real quick, but yeah, Yeah, the one is played by Lucy Liu. She decides to just screw their planet. Like they'll have place like the planet still die there and it'll still die, and she'd rather have that and screw over humanity than regrow it. And it's just like, are you serious? Like, why? What's the point of this? Yeah, because it makes no sense. Um, and she ends up killing her sister like at some point in this freaking god awful looking dragon. Okay, so yeah, Hesper was played by Helen, and Calypso is played by Lucy Liu. There we go. uh, and man, it's so all over the place. Then there's a point where the youngest of the Shazam family, she has this thing with unicorns, and the wizard's just like, no, unicorns are actually very bad. But then there's like Skittles and like the whole thing. So when the tree of life begins growing in Earth, and that's the choice they made after all that. Um, yeah, they take off because none of the kids have powers. Zachary Levi Shazam is the only one that has powers, and the fact that he the fact that he doesn't ever get like his powers taken away is just like what he and I could be wrong, but I think they only really attacked him once with it, and I'm just like, wow, that's a little strange. Uh, but yeah, so he's the only one that has powers. There's this big bubble like surrounding Los Angeles, and Aspera's dying. Calypso tries like Aspera shrinks it down so where the family can get out, and Calypso and Shazam are stuck in there together. He has a staff. And this is toward the end, so let me get on to so after all this happens and the tree starts growing, the family that have no powers, it's like this van. They call it the battle van, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, this feels like I don't know. It just felt really awkward, and just like there's nothing to like. It's just a showcase of bad CGI monsters just brutally murdering people in the streets. And this is a kid's young adult film. Like, what? Anyway, so they leave the van. They go off. Again, the little girl's talking about unicorns. Apparently, unicorns are mean, evil. They're the king of beasts, apparently. So they go into this parking garage, and it's just this ominous thing. It's just like, ooh, they're there. Like, all right, like And then the little girl goes up, and it's just like, oh, unicorn, and it goes to charge to kill her, and then she drops Skittles, and it immediately stops and eats the Skittles and is just immediately her best friend. And it's, my God. So that's how they deal with them losing their powers, but still being involved in the film, which pisses me off. Like, why? You don't need to have this many main characters running around the film because you don't know anything about any of them. And no one cares. No one cares about any of these people. So, anyway. they're riding they're riding these unicorns, and the cringiest fuck line in this entire movie. It's just like they're charging, monsters, and she's just like, taste the rainbows, motherfuck, and it just cuts off. And that's supposed to be one of those moments. And yeah, no one in my theater did anything. I remember that. Obviously, the second time I'm watching it was. Yeah, I was at home, so. But yeah, I do remember some of that. Uh, but yeah, you have that, and then so the end battle, that they're all trapped. He essentially absorbs lightning into the staff, and he eventually goes and flies into Calypso, and the power kills them both and destroys the tree, and he's dead. And I'm just like, again, no one has their powers back. There's no gods. The tree is dead. There's only one golden apple for the tree of life. And yeah, that's where it should have been. It's just like, all right, so we're going into a new DCU, but nope, they do the stupidest shit ever. So they bury him, they take him to the God's world, and they say there's nothing that can be done because the staff's not working. It needs a spark of the god. All the gods are dead. Everyone's dead. Hesperia got killed by Calypso. Calypso got blown up. There's Anthea, but she lost her powers. And like that. So that's a thing. And then who should appear but obviously Wonder Woman, and the song that just seems so out of place every time she shows up. And I'm just like, oh God, really? So there is a funny part of it. So Shazam's really obsessed with Wonder Woman, and he dreams that he's dating her, and they joke about it, and it's actually one of the funnier parts of the film. He goes to talk to her and turns around, and it's the wizard's face, because he was imprisoned, but then he scratched some of the staff off, got a little bit of power, and was able to get the message out. But yeah. That was the thing. That was one of the funnier parts. Another funny part, but about a super cringy part, is the jokes that they make about like how. So the mom jokes about how her kids are always dating older people because Billy's obsessed with Wonder Woman, and Freddy's now dating a 6,000-year-old god. Which is kind of creepy because he's 16, 17. She's and they joke about it too. But man, it's it's a little weird. It's very weird. Let's be real here. And why she's so impressed with this kid because he said something funny. I don't know. It's the whole thing's super cringe, but the jokes they make about it are actually kind of funny. So the humor here was actually pretty funny. This movie does have jokes, and I was entertained with the jokes, but there's just so much stupid and bad writing, and it just drags it down into the abyss. And man, it's just awful. Like all these beasts when they come out of the tree of life from when they planted on Earth, it doesn't look good. I mean, there's supposed to be these cyclopses, harpies, manticores, minotaur, like all these little beasts. And these are badass beasts. If you know anything about Greek mythology, these are badass beasts. They look awful in this movie. The CGI was just absolutely a pain in the ass. So anyway, Gal Gadot comes in because obviously James Gunn hates her a lot less than he does. Um, the one who played Spider-Man. Good God, his name kind of escaped me. I'm kind of going off the fly here. Forgive me. But anyway, uh, just like I'm one, and it's just like, no, you're a demigod. Your father was a god, but you're not a god. But yeah, it still works. That like so much hand waving. It's annoying. So she uses her spark, gets the staff. They all get their powers back. I mean, why? What's the point? Second of all, it's bad because again, so many main characters, and Zachary Levi wakes up from the dead. You buried me, which also is kind of funny. So again, this movie was funny. It was just really badly executed. But yeah, all these things that they could have done that could have made things more impactful. And again, with as tropey as the whole death scene was, it was emotional. I did feel emotion. But yeah, I don't feel that this movie just lived up to with everything else in terms of writing and everything. It lived up to the original. It was a big letdown, and it was a huge box office bomb. It did not do well. Um, but yeah, the wizard and Anthea apparently take up residence on Earth. Why? I don't know. So that Freddy can have a love interest because this was largely his movie. It was more his movie than it was Billy's, which is, again, really kind of awkward and sad. So then we go into some mid-credit scenes where you have James Gunn's wife and the guy attempting to recruit Billy into the Justice. He's just like, yes, but no, Justice Society. And then on behalf of Amanda Waller, which, again, like, how is this even going to take? How is the whole reset of the timeline going to work? I don't know. So there's that, and confirmation that Zachary Levi is still going to be like a thing in James Gunn's thing. I just hope they can fix some of it and get some freaking better writers. And then there's a post-credit scene in which the bad guy from the original one, he encounters Mr. Mind, and he's just like, I've been waiting 4 years for this. It's just like, dude, I got no legs, no wings. It takes me a while to get places. It's just like, I'm almost ready. I just need to do one more thing. And then he just saunters off. He's like, no. And so again, like, it almost seems like something that was filmed before they announced the cancellation of the DCEU. So I'm wondering, like, how that's going to be a thing. But yeah, or if it's just something that's just a joke. So I don't know. Anyway, I think that's it for me on this. I hope you guys enjoyed. This is Shazam. Again, I'm sorry it's so late. But yeah, it was not great. It was a very average film, 5 out of 10. But yeah, hope you all enjoyed, and I'll catch you guys next time. See ya. Oh.